Hi! Hello, my bookish friends. Welcome. Welcome. Or welcome back. I'm Elizabeth. This is Reading Riley, where we like to read. Riley! We like to not take ourselves too seriously. We like to have fun with books. And today we're doing a try a chapter thing. So I have... oh boy.
Oh boy.
I have all of these thrillers that I want to read. Mostly thrillers. I think this one's technically horror and this one maybe. But I have these. It's like 6 o'clock at night. I've made myself a cocktail and I'm going to attempt to read one chapter of each of these tonight. So we'll see how this goes.
Funky.
I guess I should go over what I have. This one I got from the library. It is Penance by Kanae Minato. And I think this is like a revenge story. It's a Japanese author. It's supposed to be really good. So yeah, that's all I really need to know. Something about, I think she's a teacher, and I think something happens to her daughter. So there's that. Then we have The Invited by Jennifer McMahon. I just love the aesthetic of this cover. And this is a haunted house book. That's all I know. It says the chilling ghost story with a twist. Helen and Nate have abandoned the comforts of suburbia. Oh, and they're moving to a rural farm-ish area for a do-it-yourself project. Oh, but the property has a dark and violent past. Okay, that's all I need to know. We have He Started It by Samantha Downing. This is the only Samantha Downing that I haven't read yet. And this is about this family, and they haven't seen each other in years, but their wealthy grandfather dies and has a final request that they all go on this road trip together, and they have to do it to secure their inheritance. So that's one I've been meaning to get to. Another one I've had for a while and been meaning to read is Mirrorland by Carole Johnstone. Let's see. I don't even know what this one's about. Oh wow, it says the startling twists of Gone Girl and the haunting emotional power of Room. Psychological suspense novel about twin sisters, the man they both love, and the dark childhood they can't leave behind. Okay, the next one is another one that I've been meaning to get to. These are all ones that I've been meaning to get to, some that I've found at the library, some that I've just had on my shelves. This is You Are Not Alone by Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. I've read a couple of their books and liked them. I know some people do, some people don't. What is this about? Oh yeah, I've read The Wife Between Us and Anonymous Girl. A thriller about a circle of friends with deadly intentions, where trust is their weapon and revenge is their trigger. You probably know someone like Shay Miller. You probably don't know anyone like the Moore sisters. Shay thinks she wants their life, but what they really want is hers. Interesting. Okay. Next, this one I got from the library, Pieces of Her by Karin Slaughter. I'm pretty sure this is the first book in a series or a standalone. I really hope so anyway. Oh my god, there's a personalized note from the library. Oh, what does this say? Okay, dear reader, have you ever looked at the person you know best in the world and wondered what really lies below the surface? Whether what you see is genuinely what you get? I've always been fascinated by the secrets and lies that underpin our lives. And so that's the question Pieces of Her asks. Can you ever really know anybody completely? I hope you enjoy it. Wait. Is this just printed on here? Wait, I don't understand. Is this... I don't understand who this note's from. I can't read it. I don't know if this is printed on here and it's from Karin Slaughter, but this signature does not look like... It says Karin Slaughter, right? But I don't know what her signature looks like. Anyway, okay, that's all. That's all I'm gonna go for that. Okay, the next one is another Shari Lapena. I'm gonna give her another shot because I liked The Couple Next Door. I did not like An Unhappy Family. Is that what it's called? Not a Happy Family. Someone We Know. So what is this? It says, this is a very difficult letter to write. I hope you will not hate us too much. My son broke into your home recently while you were out. Maybe you don't know your neighbors as well as you thought you did. So you have upstate New York. Teenagers been sneaking into houses, into owners' computers, learning their secrets. Okay, so it's kind of like a blackmailing thing. I don't know. We'll see. The next one is Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. Another one I've really been wanting to read. It's a little bit bigger. It's been intimidating, so I haven't started it, but I've only heard good things. Shouldn't a husband stay dead? Lila Richfield lives in an idyllic college town, but not everything is what it seems. Lila isn't what she seems. A student vanished months ago, And now Lila's husband, Aaron, is also missing. Everyone is worried about the whereabouts of their beloved high school teacher. Everyone except his wife. She's confused because she was the last person to see her husband's body and now it's gone. And then lastly, the Book of Accidents, another big one that I've been intimidated by but only hearing good things about. And this is about this couple who have this son. They both are from this small town in Pennsylvania where something strange happened to them when they were kids. I think it's kind of like this town is being haunted by something that was lurking in the old coal mines where there was an accident in the early 1900s that killed a bunch of people. They moved back there with their son and now their son is experiencing what they experienced. Heard this was really good. So yeah, that's the books I'm going to read the first chapter of, hopefully tonight. I've got my Cosmopolitan that I made. So let's get to the reading. I think, now I don't know what order they were in, but let's start with Penance. The first chapter of this is 44 pages. Of course it is. Okay, I just finished the first chapter of Penance. I mean, it really could have been its own short story. This was called The French Dolls. I was wrong about what I told you initially about this book. I think I was thinking of Confessions, which is, I believe, also by the same author. But this book is totally different. So it's about this woman, Say. This whole first part, all 44 pages of it, in this first quote-unquote chapter, was a letter to someone named Asako, talking about basically her life and her past and things that happened when she was a kid. And she grew up in this kind of rural town in Japan. Their town is supposed to have the like cleanest air of all the towns. And that's why this company moves to have their headquarters in this town. With that, they built these new apartments and it became a little less rural, but all of these people from Tokyo moved into their tiny, small rural town. The summer after 4th grade, she met Emily, who was one of these people that moved there. Emily has like Barbie dolls and they're so rural they don't play with Barbie dolls. They have what they call French dolls. I think it's like a little porcelain doll and most of the houses, this is what they have. They show it off. It's like in their front room in like a glass case. They kind of show them off to the neighbors. They do this French doll tour and she like takes the new kids around and shows them the French dolls because they've never heard of it. Her friend Emily, one day when she and like 4 other girls were out playing, ends up talking to this dude and he takes her off and murders her. And she thinks that because Emily was the only one that started her period, that she can never grow up because it means that she'll get killed. Oh my God, dog, relax. Psychologically, this affects her in a way that she does not start her period. And she's like in her 20s now and she's never started her period. And she went to college, she starts working for this company, she meets this guy. He courts her and asks to marry her and takes her off to Switzerland. And then come to find out this dude was one of the kids that went on the tour with them and he's obsessed with these French dolls and he keeps like trying to get her to dress up in these French doll costumes and it's like really creepy and weird. So that's where I'm at. Like that's the first chapter. I don't even know where this is going. Like I have no idea. But like after that chapter, she's not writing to Asako anymore. So I don't know. I don't know what the rest of this book's gonna be about. I'm intrigued. Sorry, my dog's just being loud as fuck. On a scale of 0 to super interested, I'm going to give this like a 7 on 1 to 10. Definitely interested. Even though it was 44 pages, it went by pretty quick. Next, I'm going to start The Invited by Jennifer McMahon. Looks like it has a prologue and a first chapter. Ugh. So it's 30 pages.
This is that once in a lifetime.
Denver! Jesus Christ. Can you relax? Okay, I just finished the first chapter of The Invited, and I'm really connecting to these characters off the bat. They remind me of me and my husband. We have Helen and Nate, and okay, let me back up. The first part, the prologue, you're following Hattie Breckenridge, who lived in 1924 in Vermont, and she is gifted. She can talk to the spirits, or she can, at the very least, she has these like visions of the future. She tells the people in her town that there will be a fire. The school is going to set on fire and people will die. And they don't believe her, and she says, no, it's going to happen. And then it does happen, and then they call her a witch. And they hang her in her yard. Her daughter Jane apparently is the one that started the fire, which she hadn't seen from the get-go, but she takes the punishment for her daughter. Then in current day, we have Helen and Nate, and they are both teachers in Connecticut. Helen is kind of unhappy. She's a history teacher. Nate is a science teacher, and they work at the same school, but she's kind of just not really happy. And he's like, what would make you happy? She specializes in like colonial days, like the 1800s, in her historian efforts. She wants to live on some land. She wants to live like in the olden days and have a farm and some goats and chickens and grow her own food and do all that. And then her dad dies and he leaves her some money. And so they decide to go ahead and do this. So in this first chapter, they're building their house. They're building their dream house. They found this land in Vermont. And it is apparently the same land that Hattie Breckenridge lived on and died on, and it's supposedly haunted. Yeah, they end the first chapter with her saying she thinks she sees somebody in the woods. So far I'm really interested. I really like Jennifer McMahon's writing. I've read The Drowning Kind by her, and I want to read Winter People as well. Very interested in this. I'm going to say 8 out of 10 interest level. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, I think I'm going to read this one next. He Started It by Samantha Downing. And there's not really chapters, so I think I'm going to, from what I understand, so this says 14 days left, and then you have like a few different perspectives within that 14 days. That's weird. Is this not like a chapter ending? There's 13 days left, so I think I'm going to read up to here, to page 24, and we'll go from there. So I finished the first chapter of this, whatever that is. And like I said, they are on this road trip that their grandfather stipulated in his will, but they're also carrying his ashes with them, and they have to deliver the ashes to whatever the final destination is. They're repeating this road trip that their grandfather took them on 20 years ago. And they have to do it to the T. There are rules. If anyone gets arrested or deviates from the original plan at all, then they don't get the money. If they finish this, then they inherit over $1 million each. And so we have 5 of them. There's the 3 siblings and then 2 of their spouses. We're following the perspective of the middle child, which I forgot her name. Overall, I like the voice of our main character, and Samantha Downing's writing style is pretty much what I would expect from her. And it sounds like the first trip that they took changed their life, but not in a good way. So they thought it would be this wild adventure, and then something happened on this trip that affected them. And I think it's probably the reason that none of them are in touch anymore. So they're gonna have to confront that, whatever that is. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm also gonna give this, what am I gonna give this? I'm gonna give this a 7. A scale from 1 to 10 of I want to read. So far I have 2 7s and an 8. Like where? I'm just going to want to read all of these and just be in the same position I was when I started. Okay, it's the next day. This turned into a vlog or something, I guess. I don't know. Let's keep going. And I swear to God, if I have makeup under my eyes, like I'm just making a fool of myself at this point. I cannot film a video without makeup all over my damn face. We're gonna do Mirrorland next. So let's see how this goes. This has a prologue and a first chapter. In the prologue, we're following the two sisters Elle and Kat. I'm kind of putting clues together based on like different things that I'm seeing on this book. So it says it's like Gone Girl and Room. And then it also says that when these sisters were young, they invented Mirrorland, a dark imaginary place under the pantry stairs full of pirates, witches, and clowns. And so I'm feeling like maybe they were kept under the stairs as children. So they built this like fantasy world to escape. Prologue's really weird because they're talking about being on a pirate ship and there's this man and they're supposed to be in love with the same man, I guess. I don't know. And her sister says, "We will not leave each other, say it. We will not leave each other." So they like promise to be together forever. Then when you open up with the first chapter, sounds like Elle lives in LA, or one of them. No, Kat lives in LA, Elle lives in Edinburgh where they grew up, and Elle is missing. And so the whole first chapter we're following Kat at the airport. She's getting wasted and she's watching the like breaking news on the disappearance of her sister who went out on a sailboat and just never showed back up. The first line is, "I wasn't there when my sister died." And then the last line of the first chapter is, "I wasn't anywhere when my sister died because she isn't dead." So I'm guessing her sister's in Mirrorland and she has to go back to their house that they grew up in to find these clues and figure out what's going on. And I wonder if it's a twin thing because they're twins. I have less of an interest level in this than the other ones that I've read so far, although I'm not uninterested. So I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 10. Let's do Someone We Know by Shari Lapena. We have a prologue. There's so many prologues. Okay, so it seems like I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy this one better than Not a Happy Family. It seems like, I hope this is going in more of a thriller direction than a mystery direction, because that's what I felt about Not a Happy Family, that was marketed as a thriller, but it was actually a mystery. So this one's giving me hope. So we start out with the prologue, Friday, September 29th, and someone's killing a woman with a hammer. Just like 3 paragraphs of someone killing someone with a hammer. Then we go to Monday, October 2nd, and we're following this man who is at the police station, and he's trying to report his wife missing. She was supposed to go for like a girls' weekend, and she never came back home. And then he called the friends that he was supposed to be with, and they didn't know anything about having any plans. And so the police officer is like, "Sir, this happens all the time. Are you sure she didn't just leave you?" kind of thing. And he's like upset that the police officer won't believe him, and it seems like they're not really going to look into it. And then we skip to 2 weeks later, and we have Olivia Sharp and her son Raleigh. It is a Saturday afternoon at like 2 p.m. and she's mad because her son's not awake yet. And so she goes to wake him up, but he still won't budge. And so she steals his phone. And then a text message comes through and it says, "Did you break in last night? Get anything good? Text me when you're up." And so she basically discovers that her son's been like breaking in somewhere. And so she wakes him up. She throws a fit. The dad gets home. They all talk it over. He basically confesses that he's been breaking into these people's homes and going on the computers and trying to get information on them. But he says that nobody is any the wiser about it. And it seems like he's kind of manipulating his parents. So this one I'm actually really interested in. I'm enjoying the writing style. I'm feeling like it's going to give me those thriller vibes. I do want to continue with this. So I'm going to give this a 9 for now. Hopefully that was just a fluke with Not a Happy Family. And I'm going to be a huge Shari Lapena fan. So let's see what is next. I think I will do, oh, it's over here. Ugh. I think I'm going to read You Are Not Alone next. This is Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. So I will get back to you after I've read the first chapter. Okay, so I've read the first chapter of You Are Not Alone. This is from the perspective of Shay. So I think we're going back and forth between Shay's perspective and then the sisters' I think they're sisters. Cassandra and Jane's perspective. I like Shay off the bat. I relate to her. She's obsessed with numbers, which I'm not, but I'm taking my statistics class right now, and so they are consuming my thoughts as of late. So I feel connected to her in that instance. And then also she is, I think she said she was 31, so she's my age, and she's also paranoid. Which of course I am. Basically, we're following her in the subway, I think. She sees this guy kind of trailing behind her and she's paranoid. She's like looking over her shoulder. Is this guy following me? So she looks over and she sees this woman. There's just like the only other person down there. So she starts heading towards the woman thinking, if I'm around other people, he won't follow me. And then he completely goes in a different direction. But she realized he had been looking past her the entire time. She was paranoid for no reason. Which I get that too. Anyway, she's looking at this woman and the woman jumps in front of the train. And so she witnesses her death and freaks out and throws up. She said like the look in her eyes was really weird. I can't stop seeing the woman's eyes right before she jumped. It wasn't despair or fear or determination I saw in them. They were empty. So yeah, my interest is piqued. Although something sounds really familiar about this, and I don't think I've read this yet. So maybe, I feel like I'm getting the sneaking suspicion that maybe I was spoiled. Because I have an idea of what the twist is in my head. And I don't know if I just made that up or if someone told me that or I was spoiled on it from something else. So that kind of makes me a little bit less interested. So I'm going to give this a 6 right now. 6 out of 10. Interest level. All right, let's continue. All right, next I'm gonna read Pretty Little Wife, the first page. I think it's like a two-page chapter, so this one should be quick. So let's get into it. Okay, kind of confused. We are reading in the first chapter through the wife's perspective. It's called A Monster, or at least that's the first sentence. I don't know if it's a title. It's kind of nonsensical. She's just kind of raging on the inside about her husband and his need for his needs to be seen, and her needs are pushed into the background, and she focuses on a situation where she had to buy blackout curtains for their bedroom because he gets really bad headaches if he wakes up with the light on his face, but she likes waking up with the light. And I have that same problem, not gonna lie. My husband would be happy to live in a dank, dark dungeon cave, and I need daylight in order to not be depressed. So I have that same issue. I feel you there, girl. I think she trips over them or something, and she's brooding and pissed off. And then it says something, she heard the snap. The barrier deep inside her walled off and hollow that allowed her to stumble along and ignore what she needed to ignore. And she felt nothing. So we're putting together the clues. She's the last one to see her husband, and now he's gone, so I'm guessing this is right before she kills her husband. But then I think we're going to figure out why she kills her husband. I am interested in this. That first chapter was not a very good teaser, but putting the clues together, I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to she's going to come off as the bad guy at first, and then we're going to see what's pushed her to this, and that he's actually a worse guy, and I think that's how this is going to work out. So actually, right as of now, I give this a 7 for interest. Yeah, about a 7. I think I'm going to go sit outside and read for the next one because it's a nice day out. And like I said, I need daylight. So what should next I'm going to read Karen Slaughter, Pieces of Her. So we'll see how that goes.
Get to know your short-term friends. You only talk to till summer ends. Way to spend your day in it when you only
Alright, y'all.
$10 every 60 minutes.
I'm excited for this one. I mean, I don't know why I should have expected the Karin slaughter was going to be the one that was going to pique my interest the most. Okay, so on the front cover, it says, Mother, Hero, Liar, Killer. How can you tell when all you have is pieces of her? So we're following this mother and daughter. The daughter's Andy. I really like her off the bat. She's in her 30s. Another relatable age for me. So I feel like a lot of, I don't know. I feel like I read a lot of books where the protagonist is younger than me. I mean, she's still younger than me, but like close enough. And I wonder when I start reading, when I get into my 40s and 50s, if I'm going to be like bitter that they don't have, there are no protagonists that are that age. I feel like I'm at the perfect age right now to relate to some of these thriller protagonists. But anyway, they're from Georgia. Andy lived with her mom, and then she went off to New York. She stayed there for 6 years. She was a theater major. She didn't want to be a superstar or anything, but she wanted to be like star adjacent, as she calls it. And that she wanted to be like someone's assistant or something, and she had this gig, but it fell through. And so she's been struggling, working tons of jobs at the same time and just struggling. And then she gets a call and finds out that her mom has breast cancer. And so she moves back to Georgia to support her mother. Now we are like 3 years later, when her mom's recovered and she's still there. She's working as a 911 dispatcher. She feels like she's missed her chance to do what she wanted, and she feels lost and stuck. And she's meeting with her mom. Her mom helps people. She does speech therapy for these people that have had strokes. And she's meeting with her mom in this diner. This dude comes in and starts shooting the place up. And he sees that she has her work outfit on from her 911 dispatching. It looks like a cop uniform, and he keeps calling her, he obviously hates cops, and he's calling her a pig. Her mom like throws herself in front of her, and she's like, get out of the way, I want to shoot the pig, you know? And her mom is just fiercely protective. She's like, no. And she's trying to explain to him, I'm not a cop. And then his gun misfires, and he pulls out a knife, and her mom just turns into a fucking badass and like puts her hand out, and he stabs her through the hand, and she boom and like takes it and then cuts him in the neck and kills the guy. Hi. Oh, this dog. I love him to death. Don't get me wrong. I love this dog, but he has a lot to handle. Anyway, dude's dead. I don't know if mom's dead, but I'm assuming she probably is. And that's where we leave off. Super intrigued. 10 out of 10 interest. This is probably going to be the one that I'm going to read. All right, so we have one left. We're going to read the first chapter of The Book of Accidents. The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. And I believe, yeah, this one, yeah, it has 2 prologues. And then the first chapter is just like a page and a half. No. Don't step on the laptop. Come on, get back. So I will read that and then get back to you. All right, y'all. This one's gonna be a contender. I've only heard good things. And so far, I don't know how these prologues are connected to the rest of the story, but the first one's called Ride the Lightning, prologue number 1, and we're following Edmund Walker Reese. It says, Edmund Walker Reese was a man of numbers, and definitely is. He is on his way to the electric chair to be executed for killing 4 young girls, and doesn't have a date. It's talking about him and one of the guards that he connected with who is kind of sending him off. And he's talking about numbers. He just wants to hear the numbers because it calms him and it brings order to life. He didn't see these girls that he killed as girls. He said they were not girls, they were just things. Each a number, each a purpose, each a sacrifice. So I don't know if he's just not mentally stable or if he feels like there's been like a calling for him to kill these girls or what. And then it takes you through his execution and everything he feels as he goes through it, which is interesting. Prologue 2 is called The Boy is Found, and we're following this guy, Hunter, Mike O'Hara. He is just wanting to catch a pheasant to honor his dead father. I keep saying pheasant under glass. I'm not really sure what that means. I guess like taxidermied pheasant. I don't know. He's off in this rural area in Pennsylvania, and he sees this boy bloodied, and at first he thought he shot him when he shot this pheasant, but the blood was all dried and old. And so he tries to help his boy out. He's been laying there and he realizes that it's this kid that had gone missing like months ago. And he's just outside of his mind and he has a pickaxe in his hand. And so he takes the boy away to try to find some way to help him. It seems like the boy then kills him, but it's kind of ambiguous. So was the boy real? Was the boy real? I don't know. Then, chapter 1, we're following Oliver as the son of this couple that moved back to this Pennsylvania town after however many years. He's in school and they have a classroom shooter testing fire escape. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember what they're called, but where they go over what they would do if there were to be an armed shooter. Poor kid. He has so much anxiety, and I don't know if he has like PTSD about something or what, but he thinks it's real. He thinks it's real, and he can just picture all of the people around him dying and all of these awful things happening. And the writing is really great. He says, where's that line? He imagined weeping parents on the news and the suicides of survivors and the thoughts and prayers of uncaring politicians. He could see the pain like a ripple that became a wave that met other waves and became tsunamis roaring back and forth over people until they were all drowned underneath. Like, the writing's good. I've never read a Chuck Wendig, so. And then we realized that it's not real. And he was just lost in his own mind. Poor kid. So yeah, definitely intrigued by this. And I'm going to give this a 10 as well. So we have discovered of all of these, I think these two are the ones that I want to read the most. Now, here's the thing. I'd love to read both of these before, let's see, today is Monday. Friday starts the Camp Summer Ween. So these books being so fat, like I don't want to read these for a readathon. So ideally I could read both of them before then, but that's 4 days to read these 2 fat books. And realistically, it's not going to happen. I really want to read this one, but I don't have the audiobook for it. And it's definitely going to take me longer than 4 days without an audiobook. Now, this one I do have the audiobook for, and I think I could possibly finish it within that allotted time. So I think that's going to be my goal. Although I really, really want this one, but I've got the audiobook on hold from the library and I should have it within the next 2 weeks. So this one, if you don't see in October, you'll see it, in November. I will definitely be reading this when I get that audiobook, but they're both just so fat, and so I'm not going to be able to get through them. So yeah, I think this is the winner. This is going to be it, y'all. Stay tuned. And that's it for this video. If you're still with me, thank you so much for hanging out. Like, as always, I appreciate you guys. You know that. I love you. If you haven't already, and if you are so obliged, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and also let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Do you think my initial analysis or estimate was accurate based on the rest of the book? If you have read it, I'm interested to know. Don't forget, life is short. So read Riley. Again, I don't have a cheers. I don't have a drink. But cheers anyway, and goodbye.